Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, Ip Man 2. While this movie is action-packed and very good to watch, they improved the camera work. So, objectively, this movie is actually very good. I still think that them adding a more fantastical element to the wirework and fight scenes does take away from the objective quality of this film. While this movie, because this movie is based on loosely based on real life events of Ip Man, who was the teacher of Bruce Lee. Now, while a lot of people have said that this movie is heavy with the Chinese propagandizing and nationalism, yeah, you're right, it is. That's not necessarily a bad thing, though. Chinese nationalism was very much needed during the time that this movie takes place because a lot of nations all over the world were pushing into China and forcing China or the Chinese down. So yes, there was a lot of stuff going on. Western culture aspect wasn't overdone in my opinion. The West was definitely trying to take complete control over China and all of Asia at the time. The leaders were basically just figureheads answering to the crown. That's no joke. This is something that was brought to my attention from a friend of mine who I trust a lot, who also studies Wing Chun of Ip Man's lineage, believe it or not. He's a good friend of mine too, friend of the family. Now, the main real gripe I have of this movie is overdoing the corrupt aspect, or the corrupt challenge aspect. While every hero in martial arts movies, this is done overtly in every martial arts movie. You have the hero. Once they start getting ahead, something is done to put them at a disadvantage so that they have to step it up and keep going. And then there's the corrupt aspect, which, like in Fearless, where they poisoned him in the middle of the fight. And then there's the fight in Bloodsport where he throws the powder pill in his eye, or in Van Damme's eye. The corrupt aspect in this one was, or they put one in this one, where Ip Man is no longer allowed to use kicks. It's like, then it's not Chinese martial arts versus Western boxing. This is not, or this is supposed to be showing the differences between the two. But them doing so, it diminishes a realistic effect. Yes, that does exist in real life where people will try to cheat to win. Don't get me wrong. That does happen. But there is such a thing as too much of a good, or too much of something, you know? Now, given that this movie is a loose interpretation of real events, the choreography does suffer, or cause this movie to suffer a bit because of the fantastical over-exaggeration of certain moves. Sammo Hung is a great choreographer. Do not get me wrong. He is a great choreographer. It's just that there's a time and place for everything, really. And this movie should not, or they should not have over-exaggerated the wire work or increased the wire work too much with this movie, because the first movie, I thought that it was done perfectly balanced, where you didn't, or they kept it grounded. Yes, they had some wire work here and there in fight sequences, but it didn't seem too fantastical. In this one, they really pushed the fantastical element, and that takes away from the realistic aspect that this movie is trying to portray. So, Sammo Hung being in the movie, I actually thought was a good touch. Him playing Master Hung. His character is a sacrificial character, basically meant to inspire the hero through their death. And it's a trope that is also used a lot, but it is used very well in this one. And I thought that this movie was very well done. Them introducing Bruce Lee at the end as a kid, I wish they would keep it on Ip Man. I mean, yes, Bruce Lee is the reason why Ip Man is famous, because Bruce Lee's master is Ip Man. But I just wish that I just wish that they would have kept Ip Man separate from Bruce Lee in this as well, because it does take away from Ip Man. Yes, again, Ip Man is made famous through Bruce Lee because Bruce Lee is so famous, and his master should be famous, but you get what I'm trying to say. Anyway, the 3 scores, I'm actually going to change what my score I put on Facebook and Twitter. Objectively, I would say that this movie is an 8 out of 10 instead of a 7.5 out of 10. Because after thinking about it a little further, yes, this movie is more, or is better in an objective quality than just 7.5. Subjectively, it's an 8.5 out of 10. And moviegoer, it's a 9.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed this movie. Yes, it was decent, and yes, there were some continuity errors, and it was flawed, but it was still enjoyable to watch. Anyway, folks, that's going to be my review. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Did you like this movie, Ip Man 2? Did you not? Let me know all of it, folks. This has been Orange Hat Reviews. Stay humble.